Love is it? Gonzo, this is perfect!
Bam!
Did you just say hello?
I said so.
I walked in and my natural inclination was to go.
Indigo, thank you for doing this. Thanks for being our guinea pig
My pleasure.
on our first ever podcast that we have yet to name.
Oh, we
It'll
gotta get
come
this
through.
closer to her.
Let's
Yeah, get right in there.
see if it just pops out of one of our mouths during recording.
Well, that's kind of the plan. We've got a few options, but we're gonna lay those on you at the end and see which one you think fits the format the best.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Why don't you just start with like your name and where you're from and how you ended up in La Vida, Colorado.
My name is Indigo. I go by Indigo Marigold, and I grew up outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, north of Philly, in a suburb. And it's been a whole long journey to land here in La Vida with you guys. I've lived in many places. I've traveled a lot. I spent 2 years on the road living in a van, and that's how I discovered that I wanted to live in Colorado. I used to live in Austin, Texas before I moved out here. And yeah, I was such a city girl. I was there for the arts and music scene. Like, I love the creative scenes that are in cities, but I started after a while feeling like I missed nature and peace and quiet. And so that's why I built out a van, and then I could go between the city and the forest. And then, yeah, eventually I just decided I wanted to land in a tiny mountain town in Colorado, and I was just kind of checking a bunch of different places out. I moved to Durango, and then Jake and Anna and I met in person. Anna and I had been connected in the online coaching world for a couple of years. I'm also an online coach, and we ended up meeting in person at a yoga festival. Anna was performing, and Jake and I got to meet for the first time, and yeah, it all kind of just unfolded from there.
Perfect. Well, you definitely chose the right mountain town.
I agree.
Out of
I
all
feel
the
you.
mountain towns.
I've considered many. This definitely feels like the right one.
So I got 2 questions for you. One, what kind of van?
Oh, a Ford Econoline. It's actually right down the street.
Nice,
It's
nice.
still
Like
here.
a classic Ford Econoline.
A classic Ford
Cool.
Econoline. Looks like a creepy van from the outside,
Yes.
and then you open it up, and it's like a iridescent fairyland on the inside.
That's the true one. No Sprinter van. No Mercedes Sprinter van. That's bullshit. The Ford
Totally.
Econoline means true artistry.
I love that.
I love it.
I appreciate. Yeah, you build. I'm sure you would appreciate my van build. It's
I would. I want to
pretty
see
sick
it.
if I do say so myself.
I am definitely intrigued. The next question is Indigo Marigold. It seems like you are wearing Indigo Marigold
That's
right
so
now. Was
true.
that intentional?
I feel like, no, it wasn't intentional, but I feel like things like this
Those are your colors?
happen subconsciously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is your van kind of like blue and gold?
Yeah, I would say those are my main colors, and so that's probably how my name came about. My birth name is Hannah.
Okay.
Hannah Marie. And I chose the name Indigo about 5 years ago now, which is kind of wild. And then I was, I had my legal name, and then I had my artist name that kind of just evolved into the name that everyone calls me. And then at one point it was COVID, and I was like, this feels like it would be a really great time to just consolidate things. And so I legally changed it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, it was crazy legally changing my name. I've never been married, so it's just a blank line and you write the whole thing. I was like, wait, I'm not just changing my first name right now. I could just write out
Change it all.
whatever I want on this blank line. And so then I evolved my middle name Marie into Marigold. And I mean, like, I didn't choose those names. It all just kind of unfolded in a creative way. But then it's like, it's funny because I feel like I always wear these colors. So
Yeah.
it's like,
No, it suits you. From us talking earlier, you know, you're kind of going through your spray painting everything gold phase.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an important phase. And I think it totally suits you. You know, you got the blue, you got the gold. I'm also a giant Pacers fan, which their colors are blue and gold. So I'm a big blue and gold fan. So.
oh, nice.
I like
okay,
it. I like
you get it.
Artist
Love
names,
it.
though. That's like a really important thing.
Yeah,
you know?
it's fun.
Jake, do you have an artist name?
No.
I do. It's Gonzo.
Oh,
For the longest
I didn't know
time.
that.
Yeah.
I love
I don't know
it.
if Jake knows that, but
Cool.
yeah. Well, I used to release stuff as Go Go Gonzo Flow,
I love it.
which was when I was in college. Like, okay, so when Facebook started, I was like, my name was Gonzo on Facebook. I got the nickname Gonzo in like 6th grade because there was a radio host called Gonzo Greg.
Oh my gosh.
And someone called me Gonzo, and then it just stuck. And by the time I got to college, well, mainly it was because of Facebook, because I just made my name on Facebook was Gonzo, and then people assumed that was my real name.
Nice.
So everyone on my freshman dorm room floor just like called me Gonzo. Then they changed my nameplate on my dorm to Gonzo, and then it was just like, I mean, I have been in all of my like college roommates' weddings, and like on the like wedding thing, it's like Gonzo Hunter.
I love that.
Yeah,
Gonzo.
but I think I'm glad you had the balls to go full fledged and like
Went all
legally
in.
change it. Yeah. But it's important to have that kind of alter ego.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I think it's great. I mean, some may call it cheesy. I feel like I judged the concept before I changed my name. I actually like a couple months before I changed my name to Indigo, I had a dream that I changed my name to Magenta. And I thought it was so funny. I was telling all my friends, I was like, how hilarious would that be if I just like went full hippie and like changed my name to Magenta? And then just a couple months later, it actually happened in real life. But yeah, I feel like now that I've gone through the process, like, I get it. It like you said, it's like a way to really choose an identity rather than just go by the default that was just kind of, like default just kind of happened.
You're definitely choosing the artistic path. It's kind of like a tattoo.
True.
But even more like my identity is this kind of artistic character.
It's funny you say that because I got this tattoo when I decided I officially was never going back to the corporate
Putting
world.
on a
it was
white
like
collar.
no one will hire me now.
Good.
Yeah, you gotta I just like making things official. Yeah, I feel like I find myself saying again and again, like, once I feel clear on something, I just dive in. So we became friends this summer, ended up at a couple festivals together, got to go deep. And then Hannah and I were talking about me coming to visit La Vida.
La Visit. I just invented that.
La Visit. I love that. Yeah, that's fun. There's a lot we could do with that.
Yes.
Coming on a La Visit.
License that to the La Vida travel department.
That might be the name of this podcast. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I feel like it's
La
just...
Visit.
I feel like it is just going to come out of one of our mouths.
It's either that or
and we're gonna be
Gonzo and Bonzo.
There we go.
Shit.
See, he did have an artist name. I knew he had one in there.
That's
Well, you know, that was
fun.
John Bonham from Zeppelin. They always called him Bonzo.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Gonzo and
Gonzo.
Bonzo? This is perfect.
Pretty awesome. And one of my favorite
really
jokes
awesome.
is telling people that I'm recording music with Jake Bonham, and their immediate question is always, like, John Bonham's son? And I'm always like, yes, the welder from Ohio. Which is like one of my favorite new jokes.
I love that.
Shout
That's
out.
Awesome.
Shout out.
John Bonzo.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Aw, sweet. I didn't know that. But anyway, I come and visit for a
On a La
month. I come on a La Visit to the La Vida, and I have my van. So I was like, I could just live in you guys' backyard in my van. And so we did it. And then, I was playing with the idea of moving here, checking it out, trying it on. And this, I feel like for a couple months, I'd been just feeling like I'm ready to be a homeowner. I want to own my home. Like, I built out my van. I know I'm handy. I can do the things. I'm ready for it. And so I'd just been casually, in more of like a manifestation way, looking on Zillow, looking at homes, putting that imagery in my mind of like the kind of house I'd want to find. Just putting energy into that. And this house on the corner, I had already looked at on Zillow before I came here, and I had no idea it was on Jake and Anna's street.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then we're walking, and Anna points it out, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I know that house is for sale because I saw it on the internet.
It's like 3,200 square feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Built in 1942.
That was actually like pretty
close
pretty
on.
close, yeah.
I built a few houses, so I got a little bit of a grasp.
There we go.
Pretty good, though. I always saw it from afar.
Yeah, you did good. But yeah, and so then, this just keeps escalating. I'm like, Anna, you want to just go look at it with me? And she was like, yeah, to get like into the vibe and just, for like in a manifestation, playful way. And I said, yeah. So it was all very lighthearted, but like step by step, it just kept escalating. And so Anna and I go look at it, and we're looking around and just imagining like, whoa, what if this could be my home? And then before you know it, I'm buying the house like a week or two later.
It was like she got here November 1st. By the halfway through the month, she had found the house. By the third week, you had put an offer in. And by week 4, she was like, I'll be back in a month.
Yeah.
Epic.
Yeah.
Epic.
So that's like when that's like my ultimate respect peak hit for you. And it's been just downhill since.
That's when I peaked in life.
Yeah.
So how long were you
hilarious.
kind of a vagabond, van life artist before you put some roots back down?
Yeah, so I used to be an environmental engineer, working in a corporate job, and I knew for a while I wanted to do something more creative, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, and I just didn't have the green light yet, and so I was just working this job, saving up money, and then one day, I literally woke up in the morning, and it was just the clearest clarity I've ever had. I was just like, I'm done with this job, and just another one of those moments when I just send it. I reach out to my boss and put in my 2 weeks. And that was February 2020. It was like a month before I knew the world was about to shut down. So I was like, yeah, I know, right? I must have felt it coming. I was like, gotta get out. It was really wild. So I was like, I'm free. I'm ready to travel the world. It's time to fly and be an artist. And then bam, lockdown happened. So I spent that first year in lockdown. But that's when I got to really tap back in my creativity, because I had been so shut down from being a number typer for years. So that first year I just really chilled, and then the next 2 years was when I was on the road. So I ended up living in my van for a little over 2 years, full time. Didn't own anything that didn't fit in my van. It was an adventure of a lifetime.
Excellent. Did you consider yourself an artist prior to this move?
It's funny you ask that. I feel like even just the concept of owning the identity of I'm an artist was like a whole process in itself, for sure. I feel like I was full-time focused on my art for probably a year or more before I could even really own the identity of I'm an artist. It's wild how that is just such a whole thing in itself. And so I feel like the first year I after I quit my job, my engineering job, I thought I would just dive right into art, and then I got to face the whole process of actually learning how to tap back into creativity, because I just felt so rigid. And it's cool to look at my art and how my style progressed over time, because the what I was first doing was a lot of, I was doing visual art, and is very real. I guess it would be like realism. Basically it was very calculated, kind of like you could see like my engineering mind. Like I was doing pet portraits, and my goal was to make it look exactly like the pet. You know what I mean? Like that's what I considered. That was the degree of artistry I could access. Like, it was very more focused on like the technical skills.
Yeah, still,
I
like an engineering mind doing art. Like, how are we going to make this animal now appear the same way on the page?
Yeah, exactly. And now my art is just like so far from that. It looks like it's like a very illustrative, almost cartoon kind of style. People compare it to Lisa Frank. Like it's just very imaginative and colorful and doesn't make sense logically. And so but it took a lot of practice and just letting myself create and letting it be imperfect and letting myself experiment and make art that looked like shit to really be able to get there.
Yeah. It's hard to release yourself from that frame of mind after you've been like on deadlines and you got to deliver things that have to be perfect, and you can't just be abstract and be like, well, this one sucks, I'm gonna throw it in the trash. Like, sorry, boss. These TPS reports suck.
So true. And in the math and science world, there's only one answer to a math problem, but I mean, how many different ways can you paint
It's hard to be a straight A student as an artist.
Yeah, exactly.
Even so, though, like there is something super comforting about rules and limitations or parameters that you set, even in art. So that's
a good point.
I never really wanted hard rules in my life ever, but now I'm coming from like complete just open freedom to applying parameters and rules and seeing how that's so helpful for creativity.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I remember that was one of the first things that I actually learned, that if you give yourself parameters, it can inspire more creativity. And it was just like, what? Because it feels so paradoxical.
Structure can be so efficient.
Yeah.
That's always been my problem too. I'm definitely like with Jake, where it's like, complete chaos. Absolutely no rules. I'm unchained, uncollared, untethered. You can't hold me back. And then it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're paralyzed.
Yes, exactly. I have too many options. Unlimited possibilities. Even with trying to start this with Jake, me and Jake both came in as two like totally limitless possibilities type of minds, being like, no holds bar. Like there's we're not even going to tell anybody what this is.
Yeah.
You guys still haven't told me what this is.
Well, our plan is working.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, that's
what
so
did I
funny.
sign up for?
Yeah.
I feel like that is a really big lesson for all of us artists to learn, that there is value in structure and that it can like work together. It makes me think of like masculine and feminine energy and how those work together.
Because it seems almost like you're kind of like on a little bit of like you have the parameters and you've had an experience lifting them away. Like I'm gonna remove the wall and let it just free flow.
Yeah.
And then you start to put in new ones. That has seemingly served you well, and it's bold to have like the balls to be like, quit my job, move into a van, and we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, on that note, like when I first met you at the festival, you were like primarily doing visual art. You were at the festival painting, but like we got to talking and you were like, yeah, like I'm actually working on an album of my own. And I just thought it was so bold because she was producing it herself. She had never made an album, never tried to be a musical artist whatsoever, was just a visual artist. And she was like, yeah, I just been teaching myself GarageBand and I'm like putting my album together. So my first instinct was like, well, do you want help? Like, I would love to help you do this. And you were basically like, no, I really just want to do it myself. And I was like, kudos, dude. Like, way to just walk into the dark alone, and figure it out. And like most people, so many artists who say this is what they want to do will never even take that step. And you got all the way through teaching yourself GarageBand and making an album and putting the album out in the world. Like, That is huge.
It's out?
Thank you. Yeah, it's out. It's on all platforms.
Well, what's
You
it
can Check
called?
it out. It's called Trust Fall to Freedom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's very, like, from just hearing your backstory now, it, like, makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel
Well
like all
done.
we've been
Great-
talking about
great
are
title.
my trust files to freedom.
Yeah.
Good name.
Thank you.
Literally,
Thank you.
like,
Yeah,
wow.
it's a potent name.
Well, that kind of answers one of my other questions.
Kind of
Like,
perfect, actually.
have you ever tried to make music before? So this was your first foray
Yeah.
into it.
Yes, totally.
What'd
yeah.
you learn?
Oh my gosh. Well, so my whole message with it, which is why I was like, thank you, but I'm gonna do this one on my own with Jake. My whole message was about making imperfect art and amateur art and sharing it and letting that be worth sharing, because for so long, I mean, yeah, I'm bold about it all now, and I feel like I got to this point where I'm like, unleashed, I'm not gonna hold back, I'm just gonna share what I want anymore, because I got to experience for years the pain of being an artist who wasn't making art and wasn't sharing my art, and felt like, well, if I'm not like Taylor Swift, like, why would I share my art, you know? So I just feel like I've thought a lot about how there's such a separation. It's like, we're the people who work jobs and we do creative in our free time, and then over there is the artists, and over there are the people who like actually have followings and whatnot. And so I just really wanted to offer this bridge that you know, it doesn't have to be either or. And so my whole message with making the album was to be vulnerable and be like, this is imperfect. I made it myself on my freaking iPad with a $7 mic. And I'm gonna share it, not because I think it's really good and professional, but because like the messages are meaningful and people need to hear what I have to say, and it's okay that it's not perfect or professional. And like, I wanted to really inspire other people who are sitting on their art and not sharing it to do the same. And so I've had like multiple people who I would consider way more professional musicians than me be like, thank you, this inspires me to actually put all this music out there that's just been sitting on my computer. And so
You're a renegade, dude.
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just give you so many kudos for doing that. And, like, it's really vulnerable too, you know, to put yourself out there, especially in music, because you're like, these are my ideas.
Blue, it's okay, buddy. Go play with
We
Rocky.
have a pup outside saying hi. Oh, buddy.
Oh, it's so vulnerable. It's so naked.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like even if you're somebody who just posts like content or you're talking into the camera, I don't know about you guys, but I've always have like a regret moment or like a oh my god, what was I just saying like on the internet? But I feel like it's like 10 or 20 times worse when it's your art. You know, it's something you've
Yeah.
like said,
Yeah.
I put a lot of time into this and this is like as good as I can do it.
Right.
And this is like the most interesting thoughts that I have. And here they are.
Yeah, this
you
is
know?
like my heart and soul.
Yeah, this is my heart and
spilled
soul,
out.
and like this is what I thought was worth like putting this time into and presenting to the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like that just that premise alone is enough to scare like 90% of people
It
away.
certainly does. I mean,
Totally.
I've been working with a guy
Totally.
who I genuinely think is one of the most brilliant songwriters that like I've ever met. And I work with a lot of people who have gold records. And this he's never even released a song, and he probably won't. I've been trying to get him to for years. I mean, he's my business partner in filmmaking. But he writes great fucking songs, just lyrically, like really great songs. But he is the perfectionist to the absolute like worst degree, where it's like it's never gonna get there.
Yeah.
And I'm the opposite. Like you were saying kind of earlier, that you have a kind of a tough time where like you're like, I like this sentence, I want to keep it in.
Oh yeah,
Kind
like
of deal.
for my
where
podcast and
I am like the most like organic chaos. It was beautiful. The first time, like the
love
bands
that.
I've been in have been like, don't let Greg hear it, because then he'll get obsessed with it and not want to change it. It's true. Like, and my biggest problem has been like, demo take 1 was pure genius. That was like from God above. Like, we can't change it. Put it out. And I, for years, have released shitty stuff because I'm just like, just that one moment where everything like collided, by accident, but it was a perfect mess, and only
That's
I
amazing.
like it, but I'm okay with it. So like, I'm definitely someone who like needs,
In producer world, we call that demo-itis.
Yeah,
But,
I have
That's the thing.
demo-itis, the most chronic case you could ever.
but there's something beautiful, and you're right. There's something
Yeah.
beautiful to it, and I do find that like there's a good chance you're gonna screw this beautiful thing that just happened up. The more you keep tinkering with it, and the more you keep trying to perfect it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
There's a
sweet
fine,
spot.
fine line. That's my biggest, challenge as a producer is trying to find that sweet spot of
bet, yeah.
not getting in the way. I think like Rick Rubin talks about that all the time is like getting out of the way. Like it's just, but that's like, I think that's a really particular skill as a producer is like knowing when to put your hands on it and when not to.
Yeah, I
know.
bet. Totally.
So, I love the raw collision stuff, and a lot of people are scared of that for sure. And then, just knowing when to polish it and when to let it go.
Yeah, totally.
It's like an interesting, like, because you were like, I want to do this one by myself.
My album.
And like, that's so important, but it's like, it's also, I get stuck in that realm. I'm like the ultimate worst, like, because I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, and
big
like I really
DIY.
dabble in that. Like I've done a little bit of fucking everything, and so like I'm always like, it was hard for me to even like like when Rachel introduced me to Jake, I was like, yeah, right, this guy, he ain't gonna make music better than me by myself. And it was very much like I went to him like, I'm gonna give him a throwaway song just so when I hate it I can leave and not be mad about it. And now it's like we've made something out of that song that I'm like so proud of. It's just a testament that like, I'm very typically like I'm anti-coach, I don't need anybody else, like literally I've got all the answers here and I can do it myself. But then every time I let someone apply parameters and produce me a little bit, the result's always better. Almost every time than what I can achieve by myself. And then having a little bit of like back and forth pull on my demo-itis, like what I argue for with a producer usually are the things that like are natural and they're that spontaneous magic you want to keep, and I keep them in there. But then like all the other shit that was actual crap, a producer comes in and is like, let's cut that out, and it enriches my product. And it's
I feel like we have a pretty good balance where even the other day we're working on that song, and like I remember one of the melodies, I was like, I think it could be cool if you just stick to that same melody, and you were like, and I was like, if you really like it, like let's just move on, because it wasn't like a battle worth me fighting.
Yeah.
But there's also been times where I'm like, Greg, we really need to do it this way, And so I feel like it's about having that respect for each other,
Yeah, that's cool.
But I think in collaborations in general, I totally agree. Every time I've ever let a musician hop on a song of mine or a producer produce a song of mine, like it takes a life form that I would have never imagined. And I'm always so happy with it.
That's cool.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's like a whole other person's consciousness and creative channel like being added to something. It's like, of course, what we create on our own is awesome, and when you mix two different brilliant minds together, like it's like that.
maybe even not brilliant minds. Well, I mean, like, I don't know who
Different
said it, but someone said like
perspectives.
Einstein and a janitor is better than just Einstein.
Oh, interesting.
And
That's
it's like,
cool.
it's true. It makes it more universal. It's like, I often think, and I think that's something we're trying to get with this podcast.
That's cool.
In which we, it took us a minute to realize that we can't just bring in all laymen. Like, we got to work with artists to try to make art. But like, it's cool to get the lay perspective and helps channel art, I think, sometimes. In your medium with drawing, instead of something where it's like, it's really hard to collaborate.
Yeah,
And so maybe
it's
that's why you
funny.
were more instinctually with music too. Like, I got to get this sketch out myself.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because when you guys were talking about the collaboration with the producer, it was making me think about illustration because I do a lot of illustration commissions for brands and merch, and I used to have so much resistance to doing illustrations for other people because I was like, this is my art. Like, I don't want to have to make it what somebody else wants and have to change something to match more their vision. But it's like, it just felt kind of more like soul sucking, sacrificing kind of vibe. But then I actually have found that with clients that are a great fit and we work well together and like, you know, I mean, yeah, there's definitely quality feedback and then feedback that's just like, ooh, that's actually gonna look really bad. I like, just don't know why you want that. But anyway, with working with the right people, like it helped me grow to see that even with illustration and visual art, like things always end up looking better when people come back with feedback and I change it. And so, yeah, at this point, I'm like, I actually have grown to love that process of collaborating and changing things according to other people's eyes. And yeah, it is. I feel like dynamic is a really good word for it.
I was just going to say on that note, like taste is so important. And like everyone has taste, even if they're not an artist, because you've just been getting all this input your whole life, you know?
Yeah, true.
So yeah, I feel like taste goes a really long way. Rick Rubin doesn't play any instruments, doesn't even control a soundboard, but people pay him essentially for his taste and his decision making, he says. So yeah, I feel like that's why it's even with clients who don't have an artistic eye, like they still have their taste of all the things they've consumed their whole lives.
Totally. Yeah, like they can have a vision. Like when I used to do a lot of brand design, and most people would hire me because they don't have visual art skills, but part of the process would be to make a Pinterest board and get all of these imagery that it matches what they're looking for. And it's really interesting how people, like they would have really cool ideas based on picking photos and examples that other people made, and they're like, I can't create this myself. But yeah, it showed me that having taste and an affinity and like a vision is totally different than the execution. And you can have a vision and taste, but even if you don't have the skill set to make it.
I think it's important as an artist, you know, to hone your ability to know when you need to be alone and work. And like, this is my vision, maybe from the starting line to the finish line. And you know when collaboration is key. And one thing I think it's like, you know, depending on which side of the spectrum you're coming on, like either way you should dabble in the other side, you know, because like
for sure
I've been like nope, don't need to collaborate. Even though like I'm also like I'm probably best as a collaborator, like not the artist, like the producer or the director, or you know, like helping other people achieve their art. I've always been way more successful than my art. But like, I think part of that too is that I've kind of been a curmudgeon, been like, nope, I gotta do it all myself. But there's also a testament to like, you know, like you're like, no, I'm getting this one out all the way
for sure
myself. And so it's like, I don't think there's it's art. Of course, there's no right or wrong answer. But it's a spectrum that's like, you gotta play with that. You gotta know when to bring in people. And
I love playing with all the sides and experimenting with every variation, you know, like starting that song with Dominic on your ranch, that he just wrote that riff and he just started playing it, and you were like Griggs on drums, and he's like, you guys were done this before, this one? And we're like, never heard it. And it's just like cool. And then that made me think like, I need to have Dominic just start a bunch of ideas for me, because Dominic writing for me is going to come out different than Dominic writing for his band. You know, and it's just so fun to try all these different combinations out of different things, you know.
Isn't it so cool how Yeah, I mean, I actually have done a lot of collaborations with other artists digitally, because on Procreate, which is like the iPad main digital art program, you can make different layers, and then you can just like pass the iPad to a different artist friend, and then they write like their layer on. So
Yeah.
I've made a lot of art with friends that way, and it's so wild how to see like me and this one friend versus me and this other friend, and the art is like looks crazy different what
Yeah.
outputs. So it is fun, like the different combinations to see what comes out.
Yeah, Jen, our friend Jen, she has an iPad with something like that.
You
Is
guys
that the
did
same
Yeah,
program?
it's the same thing.
Yeah, we were just hanging out the other day with a big group of people and like just kept passing it back and forth.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's so
she was
fun.
just teaching me like, just, here's the tools and the eraser and
Yeah.
and then like just seeing what we made together at the end of the day. She mostly made, but it was so fun to add to that. Yeah.
Yeah, you already played the exact game then.
It's amazing. It's so much fun.
Great game.
Yeah.
It's so
I
fun.
wish that I had more friends that were like art focused first. I've been around in just different various friend groups, but whenever I'm in a friend group that's like predominantly kind of art driven, it's just always great because there's that kind of one art mom who's like bringing the arts and crafts, and everybody's like,
For sure.
all right, I'm 5 again. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
love
the other night, it was our friend's birthday, and they said there was gonna be a jam session birthday party. So like they were like, "Can you bring the bongos?" And then I just took like every percussion thing I had, a cowbell, wooden spoons, harmonicas, just everything I could load in my book bag, and I come over there, and that's how I felt. Like I was the art mom, and I'm just like unloading my book bag. I'm like, here you go, you get you get a bongo, you get a shaker, and we jammed for 4 hours
Oh my
after that, and it
gosh.
was complete freedom. And it just brought me back. I completely transcended time and space. Like I had no objective except for just whatever was happening in the moment. And when I left that night, like I felt like my soul took a bath. I felt so cleansed. And it was like, wow, that's so important,
Yeah.
So I feel
Cool.
like that's a good segue, unless you have anything else.
Well, no, I think we should kind of try to gear, towards the next part of this podcast is where we want to produce a song of some sort. You're leading it. But we want to get into
cool.
like your creative process. Do you already have kind of a creative ritual? Like if you're getting ready to draw something new, like what's your process? How do you find inspiration? How do you let it come to you?
Yeah, I'm curious about your album too,
Yeah.
and like the lyrics and lyrical part of it.
Yeah, I feel like I have more rituals for visual art since I've been in that flow longer. I feel like with music, I'm still learning what really gets me inspired and in that channeled space. I feel like one of them is just kind of playing beats as I'm like doing chores around my house and just freestyling as I hang out with myself, and then it starts to kind of open the channels. Sometimes I'll like just wake up in the morning and I'll have a whole poem that just like downloads into my mind, and then I write it down and then it turns into a song. So sometimes it's like writing turning to a song, and then or singing, and then a song just comes out. So there's a couple of different angles. So it's interesting because I'm noticing two different routes that are very opposite. One is like stimulating my mind to get things going, and then the other route that I'll go in is actually completely dropping out of my mind and into my body. And so like going for a walk, being out in the sun, being out in nature is big. I was just telling Jake, but all week I've been waking up really early and walking outside during sunrise, and that is when like most of my best creative inspired
You get the
ideas come
download.
through. Yeah, get the downloads with the sun.
It is wild, and maybe you can comment on this, how like sometimes you too, Jake, it just feels like you literally are an antenna and
Yeah.
something gets beamed to you.
Yeah,
For sure.
totally.
I think that generally like the best stuff is that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if you're constructing something that, you know, has what seems to be like an order of operations to it, there always is like those aha moments, those spark moments that hit. Like I have a process. I used to teach a group course called Songwriting with Your Higher Self. And I would always have people meditate for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and just get like really centered, and then just free journal and like not to edit at all, you know, and not to try to be like creative or artistic or whatever that means, right? Just like literally writing down on paper. And you'll be surprised, like even if you just start writing like, I'm sitting in the room right now, there's a gray couch, you know, there's some cozy gray slippers on the floor. And then next thing you know, like other ideas will start to slip in. And then you'll be surprised when you look at that piece of paper, like what words jump out to you and connect. And then next thing you know, you're on to like this new idea. And then somewhere in there, there's like these light bulb moments. So even if it's not like, I mean, it's great when you're like walking down the road and then boom, it hits and you're like, I'm gonna record this whole song right now, put it in my voice memo and you know, it's done. Like
I just flashed back to this moment where that happened while I was driving, and I got pulled over and got a ticket because I had my phone in my
Oh my
hand, and he
God.
thought I was on the phone. I was like, no, I was just rapping.
you should have let it keep recording. And
Sorry, officer.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, yeah.
Slip
Sorry,
that
officer,
in.
I had to document a song.
That's epic.
That's funny. Cool.
It
Something's
is
coming
interesting how
up.
creativity and your creative self, your creative muscles are just like all the other muscles.
Yeah.
It's like no one will deny like, oh, you'll get better at basketball if you do basketball drills, if you just exercise and practice. But it seems like, oh no, I gotta have this miraculous magic energy come in for me to be creative. But it's like, yeah, when you just like do it like a workout,
Yeah.
it still has the same result. And I think that's like,
It
you know,
is like a
something we're
muscle.
trying to kind of harness in here. Like, okay, we're just, this is a creative workout.
Yeah,
For sure. I mean-
I love it. If you don't use it, you start to lose it. Like
Oh, yeah.
I've gotten to a point in my life where my freestyling was fucking fire. It was crazy. Like I'd be like just like channeling the deepest spiritual truth and using like big words, and they somehow all rhymed every single line. Like it was just like mind blowing. And yeah, now I haven't been freestyling for a while, and it'd probably be so choppy and awkward, and it's just like, yeah,
Maybe that's
it goes in
how.
both directions.
Maybe that's what we should
I
do
was just
today.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the direction we're heading in, and yeah, we can be vulnerable, and it doesn't have to be good.
I love it.
I think it could be cool if we all freestyle together.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent.
I feel like that is the best way that it comes through for me. And
Tell them about it.
it's also the most vulnerable, and I could tell you that we should use a different practice to get into the mood, but I won't say that because that's not true. This is the way that I get in the flow, even when I don't know what to say, and that's okay. Hit
It's
it.
on me. Shit, here I am again with everybody looking at me to see. I'm in La Vida doing a little La Visit.
Yeah.
Whose turn is it?
I think it's mine, but I don't know if I can play this beat and rhyme at the same time. It's about to be stilted. I don't give a shit coming in with it like this.
Ow!
Back to Indigo, you know she's a fucking hoe. Just kidding, I'm just playing for show.
No, you're not kidding. I am a little hoe. You already know.
Already know.
I'll be sure to use my hoe when I let your little garden grow in the springtime. It'll look so fine when it's time
With sunshine.
for the little sprouts to eat up all that sunshine. We're gonna have vegetables to eat, and we'll dig them up with our little feet. some root veggies.
Oh,
Carrots and beets.
Yeah.
I like that as a hook. Let them grow. Gotta let them grow.
Marigold.
Let them grow.
Indigo.
Gotta
Let 'em
magenta.
let them grow.
Let 'em grow.
Gotta
let them
let them grow.
grow. Let them
Gotta let them grow.
grow.
Like Gonzo.
and
Let 'em.
Bonzo, you already
Go,
know.
go.
And
Keep
this
going with
little
the
hoe
flow.
over here.
All right. My shoulders
good
were just
experiment,
getting
yeah.
sore. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
All
That was
right.
great.
Like that,
we,
you
got,
know.
we got in a good flow. Isn't it funny with freestyling? The
Yeah,
shit
hey,
that
that was
comes out
good.
of our mouths. So are we? That was like our warm up, and
think that
now
was
we're
the
gonna
warm-up.
try and make an actual song. Is that where you guys want to head?
Yeah. Let's.
Yes.
I like the watering the garden theme.
Yeah,
I feel like that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like planting seeds and then eating the veggies in the spring. Let your garden grow.
Yeah.
Let your garden grow. Plant your seeds.
You got a great voice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Throw in some intentions while you're at it. That was great. Wow, it's
I like
cool what a little freestyling can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plant your seeds is a good line.
You gotta talk about being a hoe sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to get it out, you know.
I feel like this is Indigo Marigold vibes. That-
Yeah.
It feels like a happy garden.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
see
this-
like flowers kind of like dancing.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
Little dirt don't hurt.
Yeah, like that's the chorus.
Yeah.
Someone's got to make it want me to plant seeds.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh.
This song is dedicated to my soulmate and no one else. Plant your seeds, throw in some intentions, let them breathe. Can't you see it's easy? You were meant to be laying next to me.
Little dirt don't hurt.
A little dirt don't hurt, rub it in, get 'em wet and watch 'em grow.
Little dirt don't hurt.
Put in some work, make a squirt in my skirt, get down with your garden hoe. Feeling free, it's breezy, laying here naked next to me. Plant your seeds, release the tension inside of me.